What is going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. And in today's video, we're here to bring you guys a treasure map breakdown video versus Ulti. Now, this video that you're seeing right now is going to be my own personal teams, but I will be having another video come out later, which is going to be more focused on building teams for more free-to-play and more accessible teams for you guys. So definitely look out for that. And of course, this is, with the more recent treasure maps, it's a pretty difficult piece of content actually, especially if you are in the New World League. If you are in like a Grand Line, for example, or even in East Blue, you're not going to have too many issues, I feel, with this event this time around. But definitely for New World, this is going to be a pretty tricky piece of content. And once again, especially if you don't have the more recently released characters, building teams for this type of content is going to be pretty difficult. At least a higher point boost team. So it's going to take you a while to get to those point rewards. So either way, let's jump into the video. I'll show you guys what I've got cooking, and we'll have a look at Ulti right here, which is the brand new character that we're all going to be farming for. Artwork actually looks really good. So Ulti is a strength powerhouse striker with a captain effect that reduces cooldowns by 1, and then also boosts the attack of striker and powerhouse by 3.75, and then boosts strength character's health by 1.5. I don't really like the types of units that are, class and then color based. I just feel like you just go with one, just either go full strength or just go full powerhouse and striker. I don't know why they do that. It's really finicky. It's annoying. I don't like it at all. But as a free-to-play captain, it is actually a pretty good free-to-play captain. You can't disregard that. Let's have a look at the special ability, 12-turn cooldown, and it will deal 0.5 times the amount of damage dealt beyond enemy's HP with normal attacks in the previous turn in non-type damage to all enemies. What this translates to is its overkill damage. It's basically like V2 Doflamingo, but obviously with V2 Doflamingo with his 6+, he goes to 2.5 times overkill damage. This is only 0.5, so the amount of overkill damage that you get from it is actually pretty low. But the fact is this is just another character in the game that can do overkill damage. This is only the second character after V2 Dofi that has been able to do this, which is actually pretty crazy to think about, considering how old V2 Dofi actually is. But that's not the only thing that it does. It also will give you 2 times color affinity to powerhouse and striker characters for 1 turn. Now, of course, in the grand scheme of things, this is not a good captain, or a good special, should I say. But the fact is you got to remember that if this is a free-to-play unit, this is just another piece of the puzzle that players will get access to. This is a brand new free unit that you can have that has a relatively usable captain, and that has a special that can provide at least a color affinity boost for you. But let's have a look at the other effects of this unit. They have the crewmate ability of boosting attack and health of striker and powerhouse, and also makes dex slots matching to powerhouse and striker characters, which is really nothing new there. And in terms of the potential abilities, we have Enrage, we also have slot bind reduction by 5, and also reducing the cooldown by 6 at the start of the quest. So with that, it goes down to a 6-turn cooldown. It goes down to, what, a 4-turn cooldown if you have your sockets, and then could potentially go to a 3-turn cooldown if you go to like a ship or something like that. So in that, it actually sounds pretty good. Like, this character is going to have this special ready pretty quickly. And then we've got the support effect, which is going to support basically any of the Toby Roper characters, and it says that they use a damage dealing or a health cut special. It gives a 1.5 times color affinity boost to powerhouse and striker. This is a very good free-to-play support effect, and I'm really thankful that they are going back to these support effects that are actually usable in content rather than just, 7% stats or something. So I really do enjoy the fact that they're doing that, and they're applying it to characters that don't really have that many supports, which I also do like as well. Very briefly, in Rumble, this is a strength-focused Rumble unit, giving attack level 5 and speed level 3 to strength, and then the special ability 31 CT, which is a little bit high, targets enemies in a large range for level 5 attack down, level 5 speed down, and level 5 miss down, all of those for 15 seconds. For a cooldown that high, I would have definitely liked at least some damage on top of that. I think that's a little bit of a missed opportunity there. But either way, this is going to be just another unit that more accessible and free-to-play players will get access to, which is kind of nice. So right at the top of this screen, you can see that it says raise your pirate level, and in this treasure map, you actually get double the amount of pirate EXP that you actually get, which is kind of cool. So if you're the type of player that grinds a lot anyway, you just get double the amount of EXP for it, which is fantastic, because obviously we have the event where the higher your pirate level is at the start of May, the more legend tickets that you're going to receive. So that's obviously very, very good. So let's get started with the Battle Rush bosses, and this is my own personal team against Apoo. So the characters that get cooldown are all characters. All characters receive cooldown on this fight. Now preemptively, there's going to be block slots, there's going to be 3 turns of attack down, and 2 turns of special bind. Getting around the special bind, I'm using the support effect of the Sweet Commanders attached to Perospero, and then getting rid of the block slots and the attack down, we're just using the Robin special, and then Luffy will enable us to get an attack boost. We've got Odin there for a color affinity boost, we've got Sanji here for an orb boost. Like, it's all pretty straightforward teams, like nothing really too crazy here, so this shouldn't be too much of an issue. And of course we can use the super type of Luffy to wave clear the first 2 stages as well, which is actually really good. It's going to make things a lot faster. So I don't really see too many issues with this team moving forward. I'm probably not going to change this one moving forward either. I did try out the buggy team last treasure map on the really easy boss, which is this first one right here, and it was okay, but I'm not really the biggest fan of those double buggy teams, because not only do you get less points, but it just felt like it's too RNG to get those really good drops. So personally wasn't a big fan of it, but I understand why people do it. But let's go ahead and move on to the next one. Moving on now to the second of the Battle Rush bosses, here we have is Perospero. So with the preemptive attack here, characters that are Cerebral, Striker, and Free Spirit are going to be receiving the cooldown, and the preemptive attack here is that there's going to be block slots, but then also our slots are going to be slot binded for 2 turns. There's also enemy resilience for 5 turns, and there's also going to be a 2-hit Psy slot barrier for 1 turn. So you have to hit him with 2 Psy slots in order to actually start doing damage to him. And there's also normal attacks only once again, which is just really weird for a mini boss to have normal attacks only. So in order to get around all of this, the Arena Hawkins that recently released is fantastic, because his special can actually remove your crew's slot bind, as well as applying end of turn damage, which can get through the resilience. In terms of the block slots, that's why I'm using Nami. Nami has the special to just change block into matching, but we also have the super class special of Crocodile, which can also change them into matching. Crocodile special can also provide an attack boost and also chain boundary, which is going to be great. And we have a wave clear mechanic with the Colosseum Pedro, which is really good because it will do a lot of damage, but it also puts our health really low, so that when we launch the special ability of Crocodile, we're just going to get like the buffed version of his special, which will give us the 3 times chain boundary. Of course, you can replace some of the characters here if you want. You don't have to have, Vivi, for example. Vivi will actually just generically procs the super class of Crocodile anyway. So this is like a pretty straightforward team. You can replace characters if you want, but it actually should get through this quest pretty quickly actually as well, which is definitely what I'm looking forward to. So now we talk about the third Battle Rush boss versus Basil Hawkins. So with this fight, characters that are Strength, Quick, or Psy receive special cooldown at the start of the quest. And also, the preemptive attack of this fight is that this character actually changes to one of 2 colors. He's either going to become a Strength unit, or he's going to become an Int unit. So having characters that are either Psy or Quick are going to be beneficial here, so you can have some type advantage no matter which typing he turns into, as well as he gives you a full board of block slots and also badly matching slots. He also will go ahead and special bind your team for 5 turns, and he'll also apply 5 turns of % damage reduction. So that's pretty annoying. In terms of the % damage reduction, we have the Peckhams from one of the earlier treasure maps. He actually can remove that for us. In terms of the special bind, we have Kawamatsu to get rid of that, which is good. And then in terms of slot changing mechanics, we've got the Sasaki. Also, Raizo can help get rid of some of those block slots too. And then obviously the special ability of Izo and Okiku can provide a really good chain locking effect. Raizo does boost the attack and orbs of shooter and slasher characters by 1.75, so that gives us a bit of a boost. So in terms of damage potential, I feel like we'll be pretty comfortable here, though we only do have 1 Psy character on the team, so if he does become an Int character later on, it may become an issue, but I feel like the amount of damage that we have should suffice for a pretty long period of time in this treasure map. Now we can have a look at the final Battle Rush boss before we get into the 2 very difficult ones here. And this one's going to be Olin. Now the characters that are Driven, Powerhouse, or Shooter characters receive 5 turns of special charge time. At the final boss, the preemptive attack will change your slots into either Tandem or Badly Matching. And also you get given 7 turns of Despair, There's normal attacks only, which is just amazing. There's also 4 turns of attack down, and there is 4 turns of enemy defense up. Now, in terms of getting around the defense up, we're going to be using the Kanjuro special. Though Kanjuro can only remove, I think it's only like 80% of defense up, so I don't know how effective that's actually going to be. We may need to change that up as time progresses. Not too sure at this current point in time, but I do feel like it should be okay. And in terms of getting around the attack down and the despair, we have the Orochi. Now, Orochi does have the special that removes some of the despair. We also have the Oniwabanshu support on him to remove not only 1 turn of despair, but also 1 turn of attack down. So that makes things a lot easier for getting around those little debuffs. And then we've also got the Kaido, who is going to be really good because he will change all of our slots into strength. He does really good damage too, so that's obviously going to be great. And then the Kid and the Doflamingo are just kind of fillers in this team because they're relatively high point boosters that are either driven or strength units, so you know, it just makes sense. In terms of damage, I think it's going to be okay. The only real thing that I'm really worried about is that defense up, and as I said, things may need to change as time progresses. We are not using Kaido as the captain, which is technically better because you can get access to the super typing and final tap. Well, final tap is always as a sub anyway, but just the super typing that you can get access to as a captain, while it is a good thing, we're not going to opt for it because I wanted to use Kanjuro just because it does give us slightly higher point multipliers. And now we can have a look at the final boss versus Kaido and the lead performers. This is a pretty tricky fight. There are lots of different gimmicks in this quest. Now, the characters that receive cooldown are Dex, Quick, and Psi characters, so do not opt to bring Strength or Int characters to this quest as they don't receive that cooldown. Now, on Stage 2, we don't know the typing of the Stage 2 fight. We can take a couple of guesses, whether it be a Quick Int or a Strength unit. We don't really know who it's going to be at this point in time. But Stage 2, there is 8 turns of despair, which is a lot, and there's also given poison slots to your bottom 2 rows, so your captains actually don't receive it. But there's also going to be poison, which is a nice thing. I really like the fact that if they're going to give you poison slots, they also poison you on top of it, so then you can have a support that is able to remove that poison to change the poison slots that have been given to you into matching. If they didn't do that, this would be an even more difficult piece of content. Either way, there's also 5 turns of enemy resilience, so just they keep stacking resilience in content recently, which is pretty annoying actually. And then the final boss stage, Kaido and the lead performers, they're similar to the Hawkins fight where they can change their typing, so they can be either a quick type or they can be an int type. So you want to have a Dex unit for quick and you want to have Psi units for int. So you need to have that little combination between the two. So obviously Frankie is the ideal captain here because once again in the preemptive attack you're given 8 turns of attack down, which is just so much. That's so much attack down, and to my knowledge, I don't think the treasure map Weevil is boosted in this event, which is just the worst decision ever because TM Weevil is able to remove a lot of attack down, and it would have been very good for accessible free-to-play players out there, but unfortunately they didn't do it. In terms of other gimmicks here, there's also 3 turns of paralysis, and there's also 5 turns of damage threshold. So it's pretty hard. I mean, it's a lot of attack down. I really wish they would have toned that down. I mean, I think 5 turns would have definitely been appropriate. I think 8 is way too excessive, and it's going to be very hard for more accessible teams and for free-to-play players in particular to actually get through this fight effectively. It's going to be pretty tough. But this is what we're opting for today. I am opting to use the Dogstorm as my captain, and I am going to be using the booster Nami as a friend captain because that'll give us more points, obviously. So that's going to be my ideal usage of friend captain here. The Otama on the team gets rid of the despair and the resilience on stage 2, so that's obviously very, very good. And as I said earlier, for stage 2, we need a poison remover of some sort, so we have the Sanji support on Chopper, which gets rid of the poison, which changes the bottom row slots into matching, or bottom row and the middle row, which is great. And then for the attack down removal, we've got a couple of different ways that we're doing that. We have Ashura Doji with his special, can remove 5 turns of attack down. We also have the Neko support on Dogstorm to remove 2 turns of attack down. And we also have the Frenosuke support on Usopp, which can remove an additional 2 turns of attack down. So that's 9 turns of attack down removal on our team. So it's a lot, but we kind of need it. Otherwise, we just have no way to get around that attack down. It's pretty hefty. The paralysis is removed by Usopp, and the threshold, we don't really have to worry about it because we're using Dogstorm as the captain to just bypass it, so that really shouldn't be an issue. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how we're going to go with this team. It does seem pretty good, but I am worried that damage may be an issue. It really does depend on the stage 2 boss color. That definitely will change things, but I'm pretty comfortable with this team at the moment. And here we are with the final Intrusion boss. Remember, the Intrusion boss is typically the first boss that you'll encounter in a treasure map. Now, with this quest, there is going to be a preemptive attack of Stage 1, giving cooldowns to slashers, free spirit, and shooter characters, so keep that in mind. Stage 2, you have a lot of different debuffs once again. 8 turns of despair, so more despair once again. Also an 80% HP cut. Now you do have to be very wary of that health cut. That is a very significant cut. And also 5 turns of enemy defense up. Then on the final boss stage versus Ulti, who we know is a strength unit, has a preemptive attack of doing 30,000 damage to your team. And that's pretty bad because you have to deal with an 80% health cut on the prior stage, and then as soon as you enter stage 3, you're dealt with a 30k huge hit of damage. And that can be very detrimental, and I think a lot of people are going to be caught off guard, and that's really just going to end their run straight away with not seeing that huge health cut that happens. So you do have to find a way around that, either with some healing mechanics or have a damage reduction that you can extend over multiple stages. So there are a couple of ways around that, which I'll probably touch up on in my more accessible / free-to-play video, so stay tuned for that. And after you have to deal with that 30k hit, there's also a couple of other gimmicks here. There's also special charge reverse for your captains of 1 turn. And then all of your crewmates are special reversed by 2 turns. And there's also an attack down depending on your chain. So if your chain is less than 3.2 times, you get a 90% attack down. So there are a couple of ways you can get around that, of course. Obviously, a really good chain locker is going to be ideal, or a chain booster. You definitely need something along those lines. And the thing is if you activate any attack boost or orb boost on the final boss stage versus Ulti, 2 characters on your team are going to be blown away. So you don't want that to happen, so you ideally want to stack boosts that can be brought into this final boss room, or like have a timer effect where hit a certain amount of perfects, you get a buff, or the timer clock buff. That's the only real ways you can carry buffs into this stage. So it's pretty annoying, right? In terms of the way that I'm getting around this fight, I have the Otama once again to get rid of the despair on stage 2. With a Nami friend captain once again, we're going to get rid of the defense up on stage 2. Both Nami and Otama have a really cool effect if you hit a perfect, or they both have the clock buff. Basically, when you use their special on stage 2, if you hit the perfects and stuff, when you move on to stage 3, you're going to have an attack and an orb boost for free spirit characters, which is perfect. And then for the other characters, right, we have the Izo and Okiku, which is going to be really good because we can have a 3.5 times chain lock. We also have the support of Jinbei on Otama as well, because we are using Otama on the previous stage. We can also use the special of the Bon Clay, which is going to give us a full board of recovery slots, which are treated as matching, and we can change his typing to quick, so we have another type advantageous unit on the final boss stage, or if we need extra type advantage on stage 2, we can change him into whatever we want. But it's just because the Jinbei support on Otama will lock the slots of our free spirit characters. So Izo and Okiku don't get an orb lock, but it's fine because everyone else on our team will, so that's going to be perfect. And then I am planning on using the Odin special on stage 2 just to get a bit of health back because of that 80% health cut. When we use the special of Odin, it gives us a 10,000 heal. I don't know if that's going to be enough to tank a hit. I sincerely hope it is. If it's not, we're going to have to switch out Odin for something else. I'm not really too sure what we're going to do yet, but that's my ideal way of getting through this boss fight. And then when we reach the final boss stage, like, we basically don't have to launch a special. I mean, we can use Usopp once again. We can do that, definitely don't have to, but it's an option, because we don't want to use any attack or orb boost on this final boss stage, and we don't really have to because of Nami and the Otama specials that activate on stage 2, carrying those buffs into the final boss stage. And with that, that is going to be the conclusion of my breakdown of my teams for this upcoming treasure map. Of course, I will be uploading another video over the next day or two talking about more accessible teams or free-to-play teams that will have definitely a more challenging time than my teams in this treasure map, but of course I want to help as many of you guys as I possibly can, so make sure to stay tuned to the YouTube channel for that one. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed the video today, and if you guys did enjoy it, make sure to go ahead and leave a like, and if you want to stay up to date with all the content that I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But on that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.